Hello and welcome back to another Walking Dead video, and today I will be talking about what if Dale survived Season 2. How would the story be affected and adapt with Dale being present during the prison arc? And who would die instead? Because the whole thing about Dale's death, it replaced another character's death. So the biggest change immediately in Season 2 would be that Hershel would be killed by Randall in Better Angels. That's episode 12 of Season 2. And Hershel's death would have been the exact same effect as Dale's death, showing everyone how dangerous the world is and that they need to stick together. That's the whole point of Dale's death, and instead of a Walker killing someone, it is Randall. I would play off the Walker still attacking Dale, however Daryl gets there in time and stops Dale from being ripped open by the Walker, so that Carl would still realise that he almost killed somebody. You still have that effect on Carl. It's just Dale would survive that event, and then a couple episodes later, you then have Hershel being killed, and then Shane dying in the same episode. Better Angels would be this insane episode with two major character deaths. The season would end with Dale sticking with the group and being separated from Andrea, and everyone believing Andrea is dead as she goes off into the woods alone. And when we pick back up with the group in Season 3, Dale would just take Hershel's story beat for beat. He'll be bitten in the first few episodes and then spend a lot of the season recovering from that bite. He would not have these farmer skills, so I'm assuming that it would rely a lot on Maggie and Beth to teach Rick those skills instead of Hershel. But Dale would be there to be the moral compass, to make sure that everyone is trying to do the right thing. He'll be a very adamant, we must defend, we must do the right thing. He would be a big supporter for when Michonne gets to the gates. And with some of those more questionable acts that Rick does in Season 3, Dale would be a very loud voice in his ear telling him not to do those things, like giving up Michonne. He would have a full-on argument with Rick and be less kind of passenger like Hershel is there. And he will be very much trying to help Rick get through the grief of Laurie's death. And when Rick kicks out Tyrese in that group, he would make a very big point to question Rick's leadership and maybe try and suggest that other people should be leaders instead of Rick, and suggest a council. However, because of everything going on, this does not come to pass just yet. The biggest thing for Dale in Season 3 would be about him finding out Andrea is still alive and have him feeling the guilt that he abandoned her, and he'll be going through that as well as everything else that's going on. Dale will have that personal story with him trying to reconnect with Andrea, trying to convince her to come back with him. However, by the time Andrea sees Dale's point, it is too late, and she's captured by the governor and dies. And Dale has to live the rest of his days not having this big happy ending, not being able to save Andrea, who he's felt responsible for so long. He fails at that. However, going to Season 4, there's another time jump, and Dale is on the council. Rick is no longer part of the council, as he stepped away and let Dale make a whole council, build this community, and he would be a very prominent figure in the first half of Season 4. He would be a very big leader. He would be Rick's mentor, and when Rick becomes Farmer Rick and avoids any conflict, Dale would be there a lot like Hershel, trying to convince him, being like, maybe you should, when you go out, take a weapon with you just to be safe instead of going out there with nothing. And when the virus happens in the prison and there's an outbreak and everyone gets quarantined, Dale feels responsible for those sick and decides to go into the quarantine. Even though he's not feeling any symptoms, he was exposed already, so he decides to go in and tries to help as many people as possible. He doesn't have that medical expertise, however, he does have that humanity. He's going to go in there and try and give people company, try and make them as comfortable as possible until the end. He's going to be in there just as a caregiver, and when people die, he's going to make sure they don't turn. And then sadly, by the mid-season finale, Dale would be captured along with Michonne, and he would be decapitated, and the story would go on as it does in the show. And that's what I think would happen to Dale. I do not think he would last as long as the comics, just because in the show, Dale really felt like in the first two seasons, he was there to be the moral compass and to give a message to Rick. And when he was gone, Hershel picked up that storyline, and it came to its natural conclusion in Season 4. With Dale still around, his story arc would have continued naturally and came to an end here, and his death at this point would be the most impactful for Rick, as it was when Hershel died. Hershel really was only there in season 3 and 4 just to cover what Dale was going to really do originally in the plans. So this is what I think would happen. I don't think they would have kept him on any longer, just because the Dale in the show is a bit different to the Dale in the comics. The Dale in the show is very much about, we need to fight for good, we need to be good people, we need to do this and that. And that was what Dale would have done, and this is how I think the story would have played out with Dale still around. But please tell me down below, do you agree with me? Do you disagree? How do you think the events of Dale surviving season 2 would play out and affect the story? Do you think Dale actually might survive season 4 and go into season 5? I'd like to know all your thoughts down below. But this is it for me today, so goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you later.